has voted to overturn federal laws more often than Justice Stevens and Justice Breyer combined. They haven't just been activists in their decision, but also in their process. In both Citizens United and Gross, an age discrimination case that makes it almost impossible to prove age discrimination, the court asked questions it wasn't even asked. That's unbelievable. Reaching beyond the scope of what they accepted for appeal to overturn federal laws the conservative wing did not like. Can you imagine if liberal justices did that on the Supreme Court? The right wing would come unhinged. You can imagine what would happen. As Senator Al Franken has said, I quote, I don't speak Latin, but unless stare decisis means overturn stuff, then maybe it's time for conservatives to stop calling other people dangerous radicals. Second, and more importantly, they've overturned the principle that the law should be a place where ordinary people can turn for relief when wronged by the power. At the front entrance to the Supreme Court building in Washington, beneath the words, equal justice under law, there's a set of 1,300-pound bronze doors that we went through last year. Well, now, and also countless Americans have flowed through those doors to see the place where the principle that equal justice under the law is supposed to be protected. Now, literally, those doors have been locked to the public. You have to go through another entrance. Things have changed. Let's look at this right-wing judicial activism, in this case, Citizens United versus FEC. That is the latest act by this court that is threatening our democracy. It created an issue out of thin air to overturn 100 years of settled law, made it a constitutional right for corporations to buy elections. Corporations now have rights that human beings can never have. It killed limits on electioneering ads run by special interests. It opened the floodgates on an unprecedented tidal wave of anonymous money for midterm. This was predicted by those of us who saw what happened when that court decision came down. Now, let's just look at that. In 2000, where that case came from, in 2008, was the presidential election of 2008 was a group called Citizens United that wanted to run a pay-per-view ad slamming then Senator Clinton, who was running for president. And they were not allowed to do it under the McCain-Feingold bill. After oral argument, the court insisted the parties go back and rebrief and re-argue the entire case to focus on a sweeping question that had not been raised before, whether the court's ruling in a prior case, Austin v. Michigan Chamber of Commerce, was wrong and private corporations enjoy the same constitutional rights as actual human beings in electoral politics. They reframed the case, defied reliably pro-corporate justice, and they proceeded to dishonor many decades of jurisprudence that had treated corporations not as citizens armed with political rights, but as subordinate artificial entities chartered by the state for economic purposes and not endowed with the political rights of the people. Chief Justice John Marshall, who was a great hero of prior generations of judicial conservatives, wrote in a case, Dartmouth College, it said, and I quote, "A corporation is an artificial being, invisible, intangible, and existing only in contemplation of law. Being a mere creature of law, it possesses only those properties which the charter of creation confers upon it." And in our time, Justice Byron White pointed out that we endow private corporations with all kinds of legal benefits in order to, quote, strengthen the economy generally. But a corporation thus endowed by the state is placed in a position to control vast amounts of economic power, which it may, if not regulated, dominate not only the economy, but also the very heart of our democracy, the electoral process. The state, he argued, has a compelling interest in, quote, preventing institutions which have been permitted to amass wealth as a result of special advantages extended by the state for certain economic purposes from using that wealth to acquire an unfair advantage in the political